welcome to today's Big Brother 19 updates and spoilers. We're back, and our house guest of the day is Grandma Nana. Oh my god, I want to thank you so much for the amazing swan floaty that you sent us. I've been using it the past 2 days, and it is everything, and I named it Jamal, and I just love him so much. So thank you again for sending that to us. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so a lot has happened since we last chatted. I feel like it's been years. But anyway, while the feeds were down, Cody battled back into the house. Of course, we didn't get to see the fallout, which is very annoying. So we got to try and fill in the gaps here. I would assume that people were kissing his A, because guess what? Jess won the HOH competition, and she has the halting hex, which nobody seems to know about yet. There has been some speculation from people that it's Jess who has it. They don't know what it is. They don't know for sure that she has it. I don't think Cody even knows that she has it. But everything seems to be coming up Codesica. Aren't you guys excited that Cody's back now so I can use that name again? Woo! Alright, so it turns out the HOH competition came down to Jess and Christmas. It was another immunity competition, but this time Christmas got to participate. It sounds like it was really similar to the OTT competition, Live by the Sword, or as Justin called it, Live by the Sword. Yeah, it's the one where you have to hold like a really long pole against something, and it's like, ow. Yeah, it was that one. So Jess won, and when the feeds came back, we also learned that Ramses and Josh are up on the block. What? Who's the target? Is there backdoor plan? It sounds like Josh is Jessica's intended target. I don't know if she's got some sort of backdoor plan, but I guess she made it really obvious during her nomination speech that Josh is the target. Also, did they like make some sort of deal with Paul? Because his safety's over. Everybody knows that, right? Paul's safety is over now. He is vulnerable. I don't know. So Paul and Jason were in the money bedroom, and Paul's like, this is our chance to steamroll this shit. Christmas is a pit bull on a leash. She almost won HOH. And Paul's like, does everybody see now why I said that we should keep her a few weeks ago? She can still win competitions and kick A. So now she's got a vengeance against Mark too. I guess she does believe that Mark was involved in Cody's plan to put her up on the block, so she's not feeling so great about him. And Paul is saying that Jess and Cody really made a mistake with these nominations, and I have to agree, it's like a puzzling duo to put up on the block, because somebody other than them can win the power veto and keep the nominations the same, and then who says they're going to vote out Josh? Like, even if their target is Josh, I feel like a lot of people are going to want to vote out Ramses. Ugh. Okay, so then Josh was talking to the cameras in the have-not room. He's all by himself. Woo. So he says, this is the definition of being loyal. This is what you get. What? Is Josh trying to say that he's been loyal? Because he hasn't. So he's like, you give your word to the right people and you shit on everyone else. I didn't understand the beginning of this monologue. But anyway, he asked somebody to call his mom. He says that she's probably had like 5 heart attacks. That's so sad. I hope she's okay, but I'm sure Josh has put her through some stuff throughout his life. But I also want to take the opportunity to say I really feel for people whose family members go on this show, because it must be so hard to watch, especially when people like attack you on social media. I hope none of you guys are going on to like Twitter and stuff and like harassing people's family members. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Alright, so anyway, let's keep it to the people in the house. So Josh says that he's done being the nice guy to people that disrespect him. He says, guess what, Cody? F you. Mark, you were shady as hell. He says that Mark switched immediately when Cody came back in the house. And Josh says that Mark is going home and he sucks as a competitor, which is really rich coming from Josh. And Josh is like, I know that I haven't done great so far, but I try my best. You still suck though. And he says that Ramses is a floater, he's not loyal, and Ramses can do all the campaigning he wants, but Josh says he's winning that veto. Let's see it. Okay. So then Christmas was talking about the potential votes with Matt and Raven in the bathroom, and she asked like, hey, you guys interested in keeping Josh this week? You interested in doing a little flippy flop? So she explains she sees Ramsey as much more of a competitive threat than Josh. I would agree with that. And she says that Josh could be a number for them if he chills the F out. That's a big if. So Matt's like, well, I'm open to it, but let's revisit it after the veto. Which is a good point. You don't even know if these nominations are going to stick, and you don't want to be talking about going against the HOH and that getting back to them. So probably a good idea to wait. And then speaking of Christmas, she was in a lot of pain last night. Apparently she fell off of her scooter when the feeds were down. That's so sad. Oh, but to lighten the mood, did you guys see that gif of Christmas on the scooter and somebody put like a Santa hat on her and snow and like reindeer leading the scooter? It was really funny and really cute. Anyway, she reports to Alex that she did not make a deal with Jess during that HOH competition other than, like, don't make me a have-not. She didn't make any sort of, like, game-related deal. Okay. So then Paul and Kevin were hosting a friendship chat in the Apple Lounge last night, and it was much more casual than Dominique's show. They weren't dressed up or anything, and I think the actual format of it, too, it was more like, it was less Oprah or like that type of thing when you're like interviewing somebody, and I feel like it was more The Talk or The View. It was more of an open discussion. So they were talking about relationships and dating, asking everybody what their ideal first dates would be, and you know, Kevin is just the gift that keeps on giving, so it was amazing. Anyway, Ramsey's was in the kitchen with Matt and Raven, and they were having the worst game chat of all time. Matt asks Ramsey's, who do you want most out of this game right now? Like, who do you want out the most right now? And Ramsey's is like, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted. So then Ramsey's asks them, who do you think the best player is right now? And Matt says, Raven. And he was serious! What? Okay, and then Ramsey's asked them, who do you guys want out the most? This bunch gives a lot of great answers. Matt says, I don't know, I don't want to win HOH next week. Of course he doesn't. He says, I consider myself friends with everyone in here. So then Ramsey says, same. But actually, no. He does not have a voting block. He says he can't really talk game with anyone, so he really wants to win the next HOH competition so that people will come to him, start talking game, making deals, he can make something happen, and just, like, be freaking safe for a week. So then Matt and Raven were talking alone, and Matt is like, you know what, I think we're good with pretty much anyone winning HOH next week, even Cody. And then they were talking about their discussion with Ramsey's. They don't believe that Ramsey's doesn't talk game with anyone, and he does talk game with people, but I would say he really is pretty isolated in this game. He doesn't have, like, people who are absolutely working with him. So Matt also says he believes that Ramsey's doesn't have a strong voting block. He thinks that is true. So Raven's like, well, are you saying we should keep him? And Matt's like, no, not at all. So they're planning on voting out Ramsey's at this point. But they say worst case scenario, Ramsey's wins HOH next week. I guess they're not really sure what he would do, and everybody else they're pretty sure that they would be safe with. So they're like, let's just get rid of him. So Raven just wants to make sure that they're on the right side of the numbers. It's also kind of like weird because Mark and Elena seem to be gravitating more towards Jessica and Cody. So then if Raven and Matt vote against that group, ooh, it's gonna be a little awkies. So then they agree, like, Jess is really naive to think that everyone's just gonna vote out Josh over Ramsey's because that's what she said that she wants. See? Alright, so then Jess and Cody are up in the HOH room, and Cody's like, you know what, I think maybe people won't try to split us up next week. Okay. So Jess is like, yeah, I think that's a possibility if we make sure we don't isolate ourselves again. They were downstairs for a little while, I have to say. They did take part in the friendship chat, so they're better than they were before, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So Jess is like, yeah, people actually came up to me when you came back and told me, like, don't disappear again. So they agree, like, oh, wait a second, last time was way different. Everybody hated them. They didn't want to hang out with them. Now they can kind of work with people and hang out. So Cody's like, still, it pisses me off, like, that people are telling you how to play your game. And Jess is like, yeah, I know. But she reminds him, we need to play along with people here, okay? This is not the real world. This is Big Brother. True. Okay, so then Raven and Paul were talking in the kitchen. This was all a buzz on all the message boards and everything today. She was like, people are underestimating how smart I am, and I like that. So she says that she went to a prestigious school. I did not catch the name of the school. I couldn't really hear because she was like, so I don't know. If you guys know, leave it in the comments. And Paul was like, oh, cool, that's neat. So then he asked her, what was your GPA graduating? And Raven says, dance. But I did study business too. What? I don't know if, like, she just wasn't listening to the question and didn't hear him ask for her GPA, or if she doesn't know what a GPA is or whatever. I don't know. But Paul was just like, oh, okay, cool. So then Raven's like, yeah, I get my smarts from my mom. We're both in Mensa, but people don't need to know this. What? I don't know about that. I'm not saying that she's dumb, but can we get a confirmation on this somehow? I need to know. Is Raven actually in Mensa? I need to know. Okay, so then Jason, let's change gears here. Jason was a little bit emotional last night. He was crying in the have-not room because he misses his wife and his son. So there was a really sweet moment when Josh was comforting him, and he's telling Jason, you're a great dad. It's okay to have a moment. Like, I cry all the time. It's fine. And you need to think about, like, playing this game for them. Jason's like, oh, you're so right. So Jason tells him, you need to be quiet so that we can pull you off of the block. So he is trying to help Josh out this week. All right. So then the have-nots got to eat at midnight. So Ramses, Mark, and Jason were chowing down. And Jason was really chomping at the bit because he's been a have-not for 2 weeks in a row now. That sucks. And still no food for Josh. He's still got another week left as a have-not because he tried to get out of it last week and he got the extension ship. All right. BT Dubs, they did not pick who the new have-nots are going to be yet. Okay, so then today, Jason and Mark had a quick chat in the storage room this morning, and Mark's like, dude, I just want to clarify, like, nothing has changed. Even though Cody's back, we're all good. It's fine. So Jason's like, all right, good. A few minutes later, Jason and Cody were chatting in the kitchen. And Cody's like, man, people must really be pooping their pants right now. I'm back in the house, Jess won HOH, and that means that next week I can play in HOH, you can play in HOH, Alex can play in HOH. Yeah, but like, are Jason and Alex on Cody and Jessica's side? I don't know. I'm not sure. So Cody's like, yeah, that Mark, he's playing both sides at this point. I don't know if I can really trust him. He feels like Mark is not really loyal to either side now because Dom is gone, so he can just kind of like float back and forth. Cody's also really pissed that everyone's just doing what Paul wants. He says, this is season 19. This is your season. Are you all just gonna freaking be duds? Yeah, I think a lot of them are. It looks that way so far. But he's like, I don't know. They're talking a bit about what Cody missed last week. And Cody's like, yeah, Jason, you and Alex are the only ones who have really been loyal to me besides Jess. So then Jason ends up spilling that he was not one of the votes to keep Cody that week. He says that Christmas was. So Cody returns to the HOH room and tells Jess, hey, did you know that Jason voted me out? And Jess is like, why would he tell you that? And Cody says, because Jason's an idiot. Jess was really surprised by this news. For some reason, she thought that Jason was one of the votes to keep Cody. She heard about Christmas potentially being a hinky vote, but she didn't believe it. And now she's like, oh shit, this changes things. I don't know. So then Cody's like, yeah, Kevin also talked to me. This must have been before the feeds came back. He said that Kevin talked to him and said that he voted to keep him, which is true. And Jess says that she suspected that. And she thinks that Kevin lied about that other vote too, the Jillian versus Christmas. Yup. Alright, so then it was time for the POV player pick. You've got your HOH, Jess, and your 2 nominees, Ramses and Josh, playing, and then 3 extra players, Cody, Jason, and Christmas. Oh boy. Will Christmas actually be playing today? I don't know. So there was a weird ass conversation between Ramses and Christmas. And Ramses just keeps getting caught up in these strange game conversations. So I guess Ramses asked Christmas if she would use the veto on him. And normally when this happens, people will be like, yeah, I'll use it. And then they just throw it. But Christmas is like, I don't know, I'd have to talk to Jess about it. Like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers by using it, because then she'd have to put somebody else up. So she's telling Ramses, like, I probably can't play anyway. So she's then asking Ramses, like, do you feel comfortable up on the block? And Ramses is like, not really. I mean, he's up on the block. But at the same time, he does think that Josh is a bigger target than him. So Christmas is like, yeah, Jess made it very clear that Josh is her target this week, so you should be fine. But, she's already been going around talking to people about voting out Ramses this week. So it's, like, kind of sketchy that she's like, oh, you're fine. Yeah. Okay, so then Christmas and Matt were chatting a few minutes later. She tells him about the conversation with Ramses, and then they start talking about Mark and Elena. So they're discussing how Marlena is pretty much playing both sides right now. They're floating back and forth between them and Cody and Jessica, and they're not happy about that. So Christmas is like, yeah, Elena's always buttering up people for information, especially like Ramses, and she noticed Kevin as well. And they agree, like, they think that Mark and Elena both threw this HOH competition. Maybe they made some sort of deal with Jess and Cody, and throwing the HOH was like a sign of good faith for them. So then Raven comes in. She says that she got her stitches out. She's super excited about that. Oops, I thought that already happened like days ago, so my bad. But anyway, they're out now. Okay, so then Jess and Alex were talking in the Apple Lounge. Jess asked Ramses to pull Alex aside for her, and it happened. So Jess is like, I feel like you're not really happy with my nominations this week. And Alex says, no, I'm not. I'm really not. So Jess is like, all right, I want to explain my thinking to you. So she's like, I know you feel like you can manipulate Josh's vote, but from my experience, he's too much of a wild card. We can't deal with that. So she's like, I know that Josh is not the biggest target, but he's a huge distraction to me in the game. So I need to freaking get him out before I can go after other targets. So then she's like, I don't want you to think that I'm flipping back to the other side. It's just like, I have to get Josh out of here because he's like killing my game. So Alex is like, okay, I understand that. Both Josh and Ramses are on my list to go. They've both sat on a pair of my glasses and broke them. So she's not happy about that. But Alex is saying she needs to figure out which one she wants out more at this point. So then Jess is like, okay, cool. Do you think you could talk to Jason for me? She wants to make sure if Jason wins the power veto, he's not going to use it, because she wants Josh to stay up on the block. So Alex is like, I already talked to him. He said he's not going to use it, but I'll make sure it's all good if he does win. All right, so then back to Mark and Cody. Mark was kissing Cody's butt in the kitchen big time. Remember this morning when Mark was telling Jason that like nothing has changed? I don't know about that. So Mark is telling Cody, I'm so glad you're back. We have fun together. You keep things interesting. And then, you know, there was some game chat too. Mark is like, we've got a clean slate. And he tells Cody, you and Jess are completely safe in my book for the rest of the game. Till like Final Four, Final Three, whatever. Once we get down to that, it's all competitions. Oh boy, he is promising Final Four to Cody and Jess right now. So then, not a related thing. Josh pulls Jason aside. He asks him to throw the power veto to him if it's like some sort of knockout competition or whatever. And he says Ramses, Jess, and Cody can't win this. And Josh says even if he is staying up on the block, he wants to make sure that he's up against Ramses because he feels like he'll be safe against him. Alright, so that was POV time, and the feeds were down for a little while. They came back just before we started filming this, and it turns out that Jess won the power veto. It looks like it might have been that memory one where, like, if you get the answer wrong, the glitter bomb explodes in your face. So, yeah, Jess won, and I don't know for sure what she's going to do yet, but going by what I've seen so far, I would think that she's going to keep the nominations the same. But we'll see. You never know. Somebody else could freaking blow up and kill their game. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And until next time, much love.